Okay, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And it's time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and the worst tracks of the week. All right, let's get into it. Of course, after shouting out down in the description box, we have our Amazon and Turntable Lab associate links. Treat yourself down there if you feel like it. And let's get right down to the worst tracks of the week. What were the tracks that felt worst to me? The tracks that entertained me the least? Let's kick it off with this brand new cut off of the Black Panther soundtrack featuring The Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar. The song is Pray For Me. I'm actually pretty excited to see this movie. I do want to see this movie very soon. It does look like one of the better action movies and comic book films to come out in a while. Seems like there's a lot of hype around it. And I kind of am interested in reviewing the soundtrack, considering that it's curated by TDE and there's, obviously a lot of TDE artists on there, a lot of original material. So could make an interesting topic of discussion or a video, but not really caring for this new track over here featuring The Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar. It just seems super promotional. It just seems it seems super commissioned for a film. Not quite as bad as a lot of the total junk that was on that last Fast and the Furious soundtrack with the Yachty tracks and the Migos tracks. That was just hot garbage. This track is at least listenable, but it's certainly overproduced. You can tell with the way that the lyrics are written, like they have the movie in mind and, we have to write something that's going to fit with the movie. And it just seems, again, super promotional, super focus grouped. I don't care for it that much. It's not nearly as interesting or as riveting as the music Kendrick and The Weeknd make when they're not writing for a film soundtrack. I'll say that much. And also, Iggy Azalea has a new track out featuring Quavo. It's rough. It's really rough. It's maybe one of the roughest listens that she has put fans through in a while. And I guess the more I look at this, the more I'm just the TV, the static, the neon circle behind her. I just don't get it. It's just really strange single art, but it's a horrendous song. Like really. Weak vocals. The Quavo feature isn't even really that good. The Migos really will turn up anywhere for a check, it seems, even on an Iggy Azalea track. All right, let's get into the tracks I thought were meh this week. Not amazing, but certainly worth shouting out, certainly worth pointing your attention to, making your attention on it. Can't even talk today. I'm totally fried. Stayed up last night going to Brockhampton concert, so I'm totally fried today. All right, new track from The Streets, Mike Skinner. The track is titled If You Ever Need to Talk, I'm Here. And it brings back a lot of the very poetic, very thoughtful lyricism that Mike was known for in the salad days of The Streets. However, the beat and the pacing of this track is really awkward, in my opinion. Not really the passionate, head-bobbing, impassioned, and I guess fiery sound that I typically enjoy from the project. It sort of borders more on just like, I don't know, like a spoken word a bit, I guess, but there's just like kind of a beat pulsating away in the background. I am excited that Mike is back at it, but I feel like I'm going to need something just a bit more captivating musically if we're going to move up from here. But it's okay. It's all right. And a lot of the lyrics on the track are really good. A lot of his wordplay is really good. So, I mean, I guess if you're looking for some hip hop that isn't quite that visceral, is more of an introspective and somewhat stripped back poetic experience, give the track a shot. New Street Sects 7-inch coming out very soon. Street Sects, in my opinion, is one of the best things to happen to modern industrial music. This new track over here is okay. I feel like they're still kind of trying to find their footing. at the moment with working in some of these darker, more post-punky, more gothy, more melodic elements into the very abrasive and noisy sound that they are known for. And just looking forward to seeing where they are going to be taking things on their next album, considering what they've been doing on this new 7-inch, what they've been doing on their last EP. Definitely try this track out if you've been listening to anything they have done so far, and do not miss out on the band's album End Position. Really excellent record, one of my favorite albums of the year. New Mark Kozelek. Mark Kozelek has 2 albums, count them 2, already scheduled for release in 2018. The first of which is going to be a Sun Kill Moon album, and it's going to be titled after Mark Kozelek. So Sun Kill Moon, Mark Kozelek. And the album so far with these 2 new tracks, it's really kind of living up to the title of the album being, not the title of the album, but the title of the songs here being This Is My Town and My Love For You Is Undying. Austin did a great write-up for these 2 tracks, which is linked down below in the description box. Check that out. Look at that, because you know Austin is patrician. You know he's Chad. You know Austin is Chad. But anyway, the tracks are pretty cool. Mark Kozelek taking things in a very stripped-back direction, but while playing electric guitar. And, of course, you have those very strong, very long, drawn-out, ongoing narrative elements playing throughout the songs on this thing. It's again, he gives you a very Mark Kozelek album. It's or at least a couple of tracks. The more I listen to his newer material, and the more that I feel like Mark goes down this road, the more I feel like Mark Kozelek isn't so much a person, but it's really kind of like becoming a music style, and it's becoming like a state of being. I'll say that much. I'll say that much. That's what these songs make me think of when when I'm thinking of Mark playing these tracks, putting these stories together on these songs, and basically like doing his best as he continues to embody Mark Kozelek. In the abstract, the idea of Mark Kozelek, because I feel like he might even not even be there yet entirely. He still might have some ways to go. Moving on from there, new Ed Schrader's Music Beat track with Dan Deacon on production. Apparently the entire record is produced by Dan Deacon, and it has added this very experimental, interesting, and full sound to the once very stripped back aesthetic of Ed Schrader's Music Beats music. And the track over here that I wanted to tell you guys about is titled Riddles. The vocals are a little too obscured, in my opinion. Not quite as upfront as the last track that dropped that I thought was really amazing. But still, good song all around. Had a lot of good qualities to it. And, of course, with Dan Deacon's production on there, there's some really cool, almost like classical-ish arpeggios kind of twittering away in the background that I thought were really great. New CHVRCHES song, Get Out. It's okay. Just kind of sounds like your average CHVRCHES track, but somehow even more like watered down than usual. I mean, it's certainly listenable, but I don't know. I've never really felt like CHVRCHES music was that interesting, was that unique, or I guess memorable. And I feel like that's even less so the case on this new track over here, Get Out. Chromeo. It's a decent new single, Bedroom Calling, featuring The Dream, although I feel like saying featuring The Dream is almost like a little too not generous, because The Dream really dominates much of the track. It really does kind of feel like a song The Dream did, but Chromeo just like did production or like backing instrumentation for it. And I mean, I guess it's not a bad move, because it is superior to the previous single. So I don't know. I like it, but honestly, at this point, I'm still not expecting that much of this new Chromeo record. They're still doing the synth funk thing. They're still carrying that torch. And with this new track over here, they're doing a good job of it. But I feel like that's only partially because The Dream really kind of makes the song, really kind of makes the track. But I'll reserve full judgment for when I hear the entire album, I guess. Andrew WK. He's back again with another single. The track is titled Ever Again, and it's all right. It's a little corny at points. It's a little too much. It's a little too over the top at points, but that's totally Andrew's bag. That's totally his style. That's totally his thing. The millennial whoa whoas on here were kind of obnoxious, but then again, like, a lot of these elements that he's playing with in his music, like he's been doing this stuff for years. It makes me think like, wow, like maybe Andrew WK was like ahead of the curve on all of this super glitzy, overproduced, just super cheery, super anthemic rock music, because I feel like, you can't be a rock band right now with at least like trying to, pay homage to, like an Imagine Dragons or something. Like you have to try to write the most like overproduced, glitzy, glamorous, just like super epic, super like, this is so important, this is so significant song. And it's like, Jesus Christ. Give me a break. Give me a break right now. I need a break. Break me off a piece of the Kit Kat bar. Thank you. Thank you. That was a very avant-garde word piece that I just came up with right now. Thank you. But it's a decent track. I think if this song ends up growing on me, it's going to be in the context of the record when I'm just kind of like sunk into the cheesiness of Andrew's music. When I'm really kind of feeling the full experience of that, this song may in fact grow on me. All right, let's get into the tracks that I thought were the best this week. Really kind of impressed me right from the get-go. New Unknown Mortal Orchestra track, American Guilt. New project on the way. Pretty excited for it. Loved the last album. A lot of the recording sort of quirks and production quirks on that record were really interesting and creative. And I feel like that is kind of shaping up to be the case with this new single over here as well. Very lo-fi, very grimy, but the riffs are great. Vocals super compelling. Songwriting is there. Very catchy, very textured, very gutsy. And I don't know, I just feel like Unknown Mortal Orchestra, they're just maturing very nicely. They kind of went from this like very ho-hum sort of lo-fi indie psych bubblegum project with funky drum beats to something that's like really actually legitimately, I would say, envelope pushing, as interesting a psych group as like, let's say, King Gizzard, maybe not as prolific, but certainly putting out some interesting stuff. Moving on from there, this new track from Let's Eat Grandma, Hot Pink, production from SOPHIE on this one. This kind of pushes it into that bubblegum bass, that super ultra experimental futuristic pop sound that we know from the PC music camp. Loving the track. SOPHIE's production is amazing, and the vocals on this thing are very playful and snotty and silly and absurd. Just really liking the song overall, and just kind of excited to hear more music like this in the future. I feel like pop's music, pop's future, it's very bright right now with totally eccentric artists out there totally killing it right now like this. Moving on from there, new Julia Holter song, new Adult Swim single. Love this track quite a bit. Easily one of her warmest and dreamiest and most enveloping songs that I've heard her put out in a while. Actually kind of hoping like that there's a Julia Holter album very soon. Her last record was amazing and one of my favorite records of the year. Amazing dream pop record. I would say even like progressive pop to an extent, chamber pop to an extent. Excellent album. Still to this day, I have beautiful dreams of how luscious and airy and gorgeous that record sounds. And Joey Badass has put out an official studio version of his wonderful Prince flip, THUGZ Cry, which he did thanks to the good people over at Triple J. Make sure to give that a listen if you haven't. It's a very excellent sort of rendition, whatever you want to call it. And JMSN has a new track out. The song is titled So Badly. And goddamn, this is like one of the best songs he's put out in a while. And the production on this track is huge, and the extra layered instrumentation is quite nice. I feel like he's completely transitioned out of the early phases of his career where he was mostly just kind of doing a very generic, very atmospheric and moody and spacey alternative R&B thing. And with the last record, the instrumentation got so much more tangible and just dry and funky and groovy, and it felt so much more in touch, and so much less trendy. Like it felt like it was doing its own thing. It was on its own path, but the record ultimately just felt a little one-dimensional, like a little samey in parts. But this new track over here is like one of the biggest songs he's ever written. One of the most beautiful, like love ish kind of anthems he's ever written. And love the vocal performances, loving just kind of the way that they're sunk into this grand presentation of sound. Nice production on the track overall. And I don't know, just kind of hoping for a great JMSN album that's going to turn some heads very soon and kind of really introduce and get people excited to and by this next phase of his career, his discography. Blueprint, Alice Bag, new track out from a West Coast punk scene vet whose work previously I wasn't really that aware of. I caught this track over on Stereo Gum, and it is an awesome, like, punky power pop track, great chorus, awesome guitar leads, fantastic lead vocals. I am actually kind of disappointed I didn't know much of Alice's work in the past, because her singing and her performance on this track is really great, and I feel like with age she has sort of really come into this deep, authoritative, powerful, and womanly voice that has a lot of personality to it, and it only adds to the beauty and the entertainment value of the song that the tune of the track is so friggin' good, and the track being titled "Turn It Up," and it's this nice, fun, rockin', totally sing-along, punky track that I really can't say enough good things about. Make sure to try this track out. Very fun, very gutsy, and looking forward to the release of this thing on Don Giovanni. Don Giovanni, they're killing it lately. They're killing it lately. And finally, the song that I want to mention, last track in the Best Tracks of the Week section, is this new Albert Hammond Jr. song. He has a new project on the way titled Francis Trouble, and the song is titled Muted Beatings. The structure of this track is really friggin' weird. It's really friggin' experimental. Like, there's fast, punkier moments, there's slower spots that are kind of emotionally captivating that I thought were pretty nice. I didn't know Albert had it in him. You know, I'd heard material from him in the past that I thought was kind of rough around the edges. Truth be told, not every solo sort of side project from a lot of these dudes from the Strokes has been that great over the years. You know, there's only like a handful of moments that I could think of where I've been like genuinely impressed by like some Strokes side project or solo material. Like that Little Joy album I thought was really good. Last Voids album I thought was very good, and really that's kind of about it. But Albert Hammond, I think, is doing pretty well on this track over here, and looking forward to this new album. Even if a lot of people don't really seem to take to this track, at least I'm intrigued. And I'm going to leave it at that, everybody. That is going to be that. That is the weekly track roundup. Hopefully I turned you guys on to some good music, some good cuts. Remember, our associate links are down there in the description. And all of the songs I mentioned in this video are down there in the description too. Hopefully you got some good recommendations. Hopefully you guys turned on to some good stuff in this one. I'll see you guys in the next video. Anthony Fantano, best boy band since One Direction forever.